Relationships can be tricky. We spend so much time romanticizing the idea of love based on what we see online and social media, in books and movies that we read and experience, that we tend to really miss the point of what we're actually seeing. For example, a woman feeling trapped by her environment, family, life, etc., thinks that a knight in shining armor is going to set her free. A man feeling lost and, I guess, having a hard time making up his mind about what to do in his life thinks that a magical angel is going to come floating down from the heavens and point in the direction of where he wants to go or where he needs to go. And it's so hard to really see life and experience it and understand it when we're only seeing things through this imaginary lens that we have based on what society tells us. So then you jump forward to, I guess now, 2024, and you have people that don't really understand who they are, what they're doing with their life and experience. You have people that are getting into relationships a lot earlier than they should before they mature and understand what they want. You have people jumping into relationships after having been hurt significantly and thinking that by having somebody else to talk to, by having somebody else to, go through their emotions, they're going to find solace. And what they end up doing is hurting somebody else. And so you have this vicious and endless cycle where somebody hurts somebody else, where somebody doesn't learn their lesson and does it again, where somebody knows that they're, wrong, but they're getting the fulfillment they need whilst hurting somebody else. And so they just leave it at that. And they continue hurting. Relationships are, again, very tricky. Because there's so many different kinds of relationships and so many different kinds of, I guess, attachment to somebody else. Even in friendships, right? You have, for example, avoidant attachment, where two people or more, I guess, have this kind of relationship where instead of giving and, taking, you only take. Where somebody else needs to, show you that they care. And while they're doing that, the avoidant person, of course, avoids, as the name implies. They feel scared of attachment. They feel scared of being loved. They feel scared of being hurt. And so they disappear. You have anxious attachment, which is kind of like the opposite. They need the reassurance, but they need it in such a toxic way that it ends up being, I guess, negative for both. You have somebody that genuinely cares and loves about, somebody else. And then you have this anxious person who doesn't believe it, who can't believe that they are lovable, who can't believe that they deserve the love that they're receiving. And so they start to self-sabotage in a completely different light. They need even more reassurance. They need even more proof, even though there isn't any more to show. And so in the end, they feel like, oh, they don't love me, even though they do. You have the mixture of both, which is the needing reassurance permanently and then avoiding after receiving said reassurance, which is kind of like the most painful to experience, I guess, from a secure standpoint. Of course, you have, now that I mentioned it, the secure attachment style, which is when you're secure in yourself and who you are in your relationship, and you don't necessarily need the other person, but they are an addition to your life, and you're glad they're there, and you love them, care about them, and you want the best for them, of course. And that's the healthiest attachment style you can have. Because we shouldn't view relationships, or I guess romantic relationships, so to speak, really as the salvation we're looking for. It should be an addition to our life. If you haven't figured out what to do in your life, if you haven't figured out who you want to be, if you haven't figured out how to fix the problems you are experiencing, you shouldn't expect somebody else to do that for you. Somebody else in a relationship is not going to fix you. You need to fix yourself. A relationship is an addition to your life. It shouldn't be your whole life. And I think the main issue comes from society and what we're told to expect. You have, for example, men are taught very early on by their families and by the media, of course, that relationships are kind of like projects, right? You can succeed in more than one project at once. You can fix your car and have a career and love your wife all at the same time. And so I want to say that's the healthiest way of doing things. And of course, the problem of viewing life as a project as a whole is that you sometimes end up prioritizing incorrectly. Where you should focus on your love life, you end up focusing on work, or where you should focus on the safety of your household, you end up focusing on fixing your car. And so you end up having disconnects and miscommunication. And you can see that in a bunch of different kinds of families around the world. And women are taught to view love and marriage and, I guess, life with another person as salvation as a whole, where they think, or where they used to think, I know things are different now, but where they used to think that this attachment with somebody else is going to be their entire life, where they need to sacrifice anything else they have going on just to be with somebody else, with, to cater for them. And that's not necessarily true, of course, especially now in today's day and age where life is moving so fast and everybody has nearly equal opportunities. There's no reason to have that view, but it's still ingrained. It's still part of who we are. You have this idea too, I guess. For example, look at pieces of media like 500 Days of Summer, where it's kind of broken down into this very clear to see, I guess, formula where the man and the woman act in this way. And so it's really hard to live life with this miscommunication going on between two people. So if you're watching this video, I want you to take away something very simple, very easy. Your life is your life. You should not focus on somebody else. They are in addition to your life. If you haven't received a text from your significant other today, that's just one day. Don't worry about it. You have other things to worry about. You have your life, your career, your school, the other people that you care about in your life, because it's not just one. Focus on other things. Focus on yourself. Learn a new skill. Focus on a hobby. Learn how to cook. Play the guitar. Watch your favorite movie. Go out and treat yourself to some ice cream. Or work on your business and projects. Whatever it is, it's not necessary to have this person be your entire life. Fix yourself before you ask somebody to fix you. Because chances are, in asking them to fix you, you'll end up hurting them more. I struggled with this because the person that I'm currently talking to is slightly avoidant, and I'm slightly anxious, which is, I guess, kind of funny. But it's usually the other way around, by the way. But it's kind of funny because now I'm starting to realize that I have my own things to do in my own life, my own skills to polish, my own room to clean, my own gifts to go buy for the people I love and care about. My sister's birthday is today. And instead of wallowing in my pity that my girlfriend was feeling bad and didn't text me yesterday, I went out and did my own shit. I hung out with my nephew. I bought a gift for my sister. And I came back and I worked on my project. Sorry, there was a fly on my hand. So take your time to be yourself. That's another completely separate point, but also extremely important. You should learn to be yourself in any kind of situation or relationship that you're in, whether it be business or talking to a friend, especially when you're talking to your loved one. You should be yourself. You should not feel the need to be somebody you are not in order to impress or maybe think you're lacking, and so you have to be somebody else. That's why I say this, and I've said this in a couple different videos in the past. Learning to love yourself is the start of a lifelong romance in which you see the different kinks in yourself and you learn to love them. You'll see the little flab coming in, you're getting older, and you're okay with that because you need to learn to love yourself. That's why people say if you're okay growing fat with somebody, growing old and fat, that's how you love them. Well, you should be okay with growing old and fat with yourself. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't go to the gym. I'm just giving you an example. You should also love yourself in the way that you want to care for yourself and work hard to be the best person you want to be. Those two are not mutually exclusive. You can be both. You can be hardworking and you can be self-loving. And you can see a future self that isn't you right now and still want to be that person and work towards it. However, don't let that take away from the fact that you should also, even though the dating market is saturated and you have a bunch of different people that usually, you probably wouldn't look at because of the, I guess, kind of person they are, because you see the negatives before you see the positives, or maybe you only see the positives and you haven't seen the negatives yet, and when you do see the negative things about them, the problems they need to fix, you pull away. Love is a choice, and you can choose to love yourself and you can choose to love other people around you. So keep that in mind as you're navigating this market that is dating, that is finding people you love. And don't get overwhelmed. Take it slowly. Have a good day.